After my 10 board exams, I was very bored in maths. So to the point where like 11 and 12, I didn't even take up maths anymore. And like, since the in prelims and in main, since there's time limit, I realized like you don't have to know every topic. You don't have to know everything. You just know the topics that you are comfortable with.
Hi everyone, this is Bhagyashree from Oliveboard, and today we have with us Tong Pete, who has recently cleared the SBI PO exam in 2025. Congratulations and welcome to Oliveboard. How does it feel to finally clear the exam?
It feels like a big burden being lifted off my chest, off my back,
Yeah.
and like to clear an exam, and especially
Hmm.
the banking sector and it being SBI PO, I think like the achievement it feels surreal as well.
Okay, so can you introduce about yourself? Where are you from? Your background, your education, and if you have any work experience?
Hi everyone, my name is Tongunlun Baite, but people call me Tong only. I
Hmm.
am originally from Manipur, and ever since the conflict in Manipur, I've been staying in Guwahati. I did my graduation in agriculture from Assam Agricultural University in Jorhat only. So I
Hmm.
passed out, I think, over 10 years ago, quite some time back. Then after I finished my graduation, I was preparing for UPSC and then other state services, but it didn't quite work out. And then after the conflict in Manipur and after we started staying in Guwahati, like because I've never experienced you know I've never seen people working in banking sector like with my own eyes. So I think coming to Guwahati, like it really opened up my mind, and then I saw the facilities, the potential of working in a bank has. So that's when I decided to sit for this SBI POX. And working
Okay.
experience, I've not really had any so far.
Okay. So this was your first attempt, right? SBI
This,
PO?
yeah, this was my second attempt.
Okay, second attempt. Okay, great. So, what made you choose this SBI PO? Like after coming to Guwahati, you chose banking, or you had someone's influence who told you like you can go for SBI PO exam specifically.
After coming to Guwahati, like the
Hmm.
society that we were initially staying, like I saw many people working in the bank sector. Then I realized, like,
Hmm.
okay, maybe like even though it might not be as lucrative as it was back in Manipur and in Fal, but I
Hmm.
realized, like in a city, like banking is working in a bank sector was something that people might be after it. And then seeing with my own eyes, like a number of people working in the banking sector, and at the same time, after coming to Guwahati, like the community, like my community, there were so many of students like preparing for different competitive exams. Initially I was only
Hmm.
preparing for UPSC. I never thought of preparing for banks, this and that, but seeing the
Hmm.
people of my community, my friends preparing for you banking sector and then SSC, I got inspired. So and then I thought, when I looked at the way the exams are conducted, I like, for other exams I feel like it was a long process. But
Hmm.
then when I checked the timeline for all these bank exams, be it IBPS or SBI, like it was very efficient the way they conducted the exams and the timeline in which the results were declared. So I was like, this is something that can be done. So that's when I started preparing, and then I gave my first attempt this year in March, the
Hmm.
2024-25 exam, which was
Okay.
conducted in March.
Last year, you mean?
Like it was last year exam, but the
Hmm.
exam was conducted this year, if I'm not mistaken.
No,
Oh,
this is
last year,
2026.
2025.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. No
Uh,
issues. Yeah. Okay. The second attempt was on?
the 2025, I think it was in June,
Hmm.
June of
Hmm. Hmm.
2025.
Okay, great. Let us go into the technical part, like the exam
Okay.
basically. Describe properly, like about the prelims, mains, and
Mm.
interview. How did you start preparing for it? And how did you divide your time? Your overall strategy.
To start with the strategy, I have to go back a few years back. After my 10 board exams, I was very bored in maths. So to the point where like 11 and 12, I didn't even take up maths anymore. And then like maths was totally off my radar. But then when I started preparing for these
Hmm.
banking exams, when I first appeared for the PO exam in March, that was the first reality I had with like the exam pattern and everything. So
Hmm.
that's when I started like looking for classes online and everything, and then that's when I stumbled upon Oliveboard, because since I was very poor in maths, I didn't know where to start. I didn't even
Hmm.
know the basics of maths because I'd forgotten and I hadn't studied maths for over 10 years. But then like a friend was recommending me like there's this thing called Oliveboard, and like you don't have to go to any classes, offline classes. You can just sit at home and start. And then that's when I discovered Oliveboard, and initially, like it's very funny again. My preparation journey, my initial preparation was for SSC. Then when I started preparing for SSC, I realized like I can give for banking exams as well, like with the same classes. So I twisted a bit, and then that's when I joined other Olive Board classes as well. Then that's how, like somehow I managed to get the basic understanding of the quantitative, the reasoning, and everything like that's required for prelims. And when I appeared the prelims exam, I knew I was gonna make it, because for me it was very important to be accurate in your like when I appeared the 2024-25 exam in March. I remember I attempted 47 questions, and then there was just one mistake. So that's when my friend was like, your accuracy is good, you just have to practice a bit more. So that's when I started practicing with Olive Board, and then I knew that if I maintain my accuracy, then I can somehow make it through. So then after joining classes with Olive Board, I managed to increase my overall attempt, but then still maintain the accuracy, and that's how I made it through prelims. Then I didn't know what mains was going to be like. So then I bought another Olive Board PO mains exam course. And then when I was studying everything, like the quantitative math, it wasn't getting to my head anymore, because for me, like the level of difficulty was too much. But then I realized, like data interpretation part of the quantitative, if you can tackle it well, you don't need to score really high, you just need to make it to the cutoff. That's what I felt. So that's when I started focusing on quantitative in my mains, and then the reasoning and GA and English and everything. So like I went with the normal study courses. So I think that's how I managed to sail through mains, and interview I did somehow.
Okay, so how was your interview experience? Like you have mentioned about prelims and main strategy,
Yeah.
and interview, everything you get on spot. So how was your overall experience in the interview round?
Yeah, interview. I was a bit surprised because I've never really sat for an interview, but I know that
Mm,
I've interacted with a lot of people in my life, and then so I knew that I was gonna be confident in interacting with people. But then
mm.
obviously, when you go inside the room, you feel overwhelmed. But it went better than I expected. The panels, they were very nice. They were very understanding, and I feel like from my experience in interview, I think it's very important. Like interview, there are not many questions that they can ask also, other than the basic, like the well-known questions, like why do you want to work in a bank, then what does a PO do, this and that, the basic questions. And apart from that, your graduation subjects, and then something about your home state and this and that. So I feel like I managed to answer up to my expectation, and I think it went well.
That's great. So, according to you, which subjects you found easy and which were the most challenging ones?
For me, I feel English was my strong point. That's why, like, somehow in prelims and in mains, I took the opportunity and tried to get as much marks as I possibly can from the English section. And especially in mains, I feel like the descriptive part, people might say, like, descriptive is just this and that. But then I feel like in the options, in the questions that they ask in descriptive, it's very important to choose the right question, because it can really make up your marks for the mains. So I feel like me choosing English and then descriptive as my strong point. Then reasoning also I was fine, but then I struggle a lot with quantitative. That's why, like I realized something, like in my course of journey preparing for SBI PO, like you don't have to top the exam, you just have to make it through the cutoff. So that's why, like if the subjects like reasoning, English, descriptive, if they can assist my, if they can make up for the chunk of my mark, then for quantitative, I don't need to understand everything. I just need to know, like what I feel comfortable with, and I feel like that's very important.
So, for quant, what did you do like to work upon it?
Quant, like I think Olive Board was my everything. Like as I said, from this the videos of Chatterjee sir and then Prabal sir, I don't know how many times I've watched them repeatedly, because as I said, I'm not very comfortable with maths. So like, what I learned today, like I tend to forget it like in 2 3 days, how to solve this and that. So like I think practice was one thing that really helped me in tackling this quant subject. And like, since the in prelims and in main, since there's time limit, I realized like you don't have to know every topic, you don't have to know everything, you just know the topics that you're comfortable with, you practice them, and then you practice them thoroughly to a point where if they ask any question, you're able to answer that. So that was my tactic dealing with quantitative, and I feel like, this prevalent strategies, they were my main source.
So you took Oliveboard's online course, right? So how was your
Yes.
experience with it? Like, how did it help you for the preparation?
I think without Oliveboard, I wouldn't be here today. I doubt if I'll ever clear the prelims as well. As I said, like I stumbled upon Oliveboard. I think was it through an ad or a friend's recommendation? I forgot. But then I started joining the first few classes, and from then, like with the teachers they were teaching, also it's to the point. Like there was no nonsense, nothing. And then the way they taught you, like as I said, like I'm somebody who has stopped studying maths after class 10, but somebody like me can also pick it up, like after 10, 15 years also. So I feel like the way they structured the courses, I feel it's very digestible. And at the same time, Olive Board has, I feel like, the the experience the faculty members they have, and that I think at every step of the way it has really helped me. As I said, like for prelims, somehow I managed with the previous 2024-25 PO course that I joined, and the SSC CGL. But after I happened to clear the prelims, I didn't know what to do. So I bought the PO mains course from Oliveboard. And I relied only on the Oliveboard course, and then that helped me clear the mains as well. So after clearing mains, I didn't know what to do with interview again. So then I
Mm.
bought the Oliveboard interview course again, and that really prepared me for my interview again. So I think like through it all, my journey without Oliveboard, I wouldn't be here. It wouldn't have been possible.
So you got the Oliveboard interview course. So
Yes.
how the mock interview was similar or different to the actual interview?
I didn't happen to join the mock interview because I was so busy that I didn't even
Okay.
have the time this thing. But then I was only like available at late nights. That's when I only watched the videos and I didn't get the time to join the mock interview.
Okay, 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 okay. So, how do you appear for the mock test, right? For
Yes.
the, yeah. So, how did it help you, and how did you analyze it later?
I feel like no matter how much you study without mock tests, it's impossible. To briefly go back again, like before the SBI PO prelims, I think if I remember correctly, there was one insurance exam. I went and appeared, and then somehow like it brought fear in me. Like, okay, within this minute, I have to attempt this many questions. So before the PO prelims exam, I think if I'm not mistaken, I must have attempted more than 50 mock tests from different sources all over. I finished with Oliveboard, and then internet also. I'll search all random
Mm.
mock tests. I think that's very important. Like it's practically impossible to without mock tests. I think it's practically impossible to clear the prelims, especially
Yeah.
mains. Though somehow you have time to deal with it, but I think for prelims, mock test is everything.
And what about the analyzing part? After you appear for the mock test, then later, what do you do? Like, how did you
Yeah.
analyze it?
See, this is where I realized my strength and my weaknesses. Initially, like after a little bit of study, I appeared mock tests, and then when I analyzed myself, I realized my strength and my weaknesses, and I realized like in 20 minutes you can't solve this many questions. I appeared mock test initially, and then I analyzed myself, like what are the different questions that they ask in the exam, and like how your mindset is when you're attempting all these questions within 20 minutes. So then that's when I realized like okay, I can improve upon this, I can leave this out. That's when I go back to the courses online, and then I improve upon it, and then I reappeared. So I think like it's not just about attempting mock tests, but you have to analyze your strengthen your weaknesses from this mock test. And then I feel it's very important that with each mock test you improve yourself.
So, what do you think, Tong? What common mistakes that SBI PO aspirants make, and they should avoid it?
As I said earlier, I feel like I've talked to a few people and they said like they know everything, how they know every topic under quantitative, say for example. But then that's the mistake I feel people make. It's like you don't have to know how to solve everything. You just have to find your strength, and
Mm.
then within the given time you have to be able to solve as many questions as possible. I feel that's one thing. And another thing I think the mindset is also working like in such a way that since I don't interact much with, like since did my classes online and it wasn't a physical classes, so there was no way of me going and interacting with other people who are appearing for the same exam. That's why, like, sitting at home, you don't really realize. But only after I cleared the exam, people told me, like, oh, SBI PO was very tough, this and that. But then while during my preparation, there was no sense of that. So I feel, had I known that SBI PO was tough, I might not be here as well. That's how the mindset works. So, like, to all the people, like, if I can do it, if somebody like me, who hasn't picked up maths for so many years, but then
Hmm.
is able to do it, I feel like everybody can do it.
So, any last advice or final message you would like to share with the Oliveboard community?
Oliveboard, I don't know how to thank you all enough, Oliveboard. Like, as I say, when I started my journey, my preparation for this SBI exams, I was blank. I didn't know where to start, how to start. But then Oliveboard, after I stumbled upon Oliveboard and I started joining the classes, I feel like, Oliveboard was my mentor, was my only companion. And then after I cleared my prelims, there were people asking me, like, "Oh, how did you clear?" And then I told them Oliveboard. That's how I introduced people to Oliveboard. And then they were telling me, like, "Okay, if this guy can clear prelims using Oliveboard, then Oliveboard must have really done something good." And I want to acknowledge the hard work of the team at Oliveboard. Like, it is because of the faculty. They might think like they're just. Sometimes I've heard the faculties being discouraged, talking behind the camera and this and that. But, like, there's always somebody out there who is listening to you, what you're teaching, even if it's late night. Like, do not be disheartened, because the thing that they teach, the thing that they are doing, it's really shaping people's career and future. And I can't thank Olivebot enough for being there in the first place, and for all the classes and the courses, the effort that you all have put into make these classes accessible to everyone online. Without it, I wouldn't be here today.
Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you so
All
much
right.
for sharing your journey and your insights, and of course, for your kind words.
All right.
And I'm sure this video is going to help a lot of aspirants. So,
Okay.
thank you.